What is up, everyone? Cornel Keith back yet again, and as the title implies, I'm bringing you Blade, the human-vampire hybrid from Marvel Comics, versus Cars, the Pillar Man who became the ultimate life form from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And a quick note before I get started, I will be using 616 Blade from the comics, and I will mainly be using Cars from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga. And I will also be including Ultimate Cars. However, I will talk a little bit about Cars from the novel later on in the video. But Blade's main opponent is Cars from the manga. So without further ado, let's get down to business. I'll go ahead and start off with Blade himself, starting with the attack power of Blade. We know Blade is powerful enough to physically go toe-to-toe with Wolverine. Blade has not only went toe-to-toe with the real Wolverine, but he's also went toe-to-toe with a clone of Wolverine and killed this clone with the help of the real Wolverine. Blade has also consistently shown that he's stronger than Captain America. This is impressive, seeing as Wolverine and Captain America are both capable of easily damaging Deadpool's durability and beating him in combat. The same Deadpool who is durable enough to tank a rocket that was powerful enough to level the entire Baxter building. Deadpool has also tanked crashing into an asteroid, and this durability feat has been calculated to be a little over 173 tons of TNT, which is essentially enough TNT to destroy multiple city blocks. Deadpool has also been seen tanking an explosion that left a large crater in the ground, which has been calculated to be a little over 117 tons of TNT, which is also enough to destroy multiple city blocks. And yet, Wolverine and Captain America are capable of damaging this same Deadpool and even taking him down in combat. And here we have Blade not only going toe-to-toe with the real Wolverine, but also fighting and killing a clone of Wolverine with the help of the real Wolverine, and at the same time proving himself to be stronger than Captain America. These multi-city block level calculations were calculated by Aiden Brooks 999, and I will leave a link to these calculations in the description below. Moving on, obviously Blade has went up against and slayed many vampires throughout the comics. One of these vampires actually managed to somewhat overpower Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker himself. Heck, Blade has even been seen damaging Vampire Spider-Man. Looking over at speed, as mentioned, Blade is able to go toe-to-toe with Wolverine, which means he's also fast enough to keep up with Wolverine in combat and react to his strikes. The same Wolverine who is fast enough to dodge and redirect Cyclops' optic blast, which has been confirmed several times in the comics that it moves at the speed of light. Wolverine is also fast enough to keep pace with his buddy Beast, who can react in nanoseconds. Blade has also kept up with Vampire Spider-Man in combat, and we know normal Spider-Man is already fast enough to tag Quicksilver and dodge Speed Demon. Quicksilver being fast enough to embarrass the Living Laser and outrun radio waves, and Speed Demon being stated in a Marvel handbook to be the same speed as Quicksilver before Quicksilver got his power up. And this is all very impressive, seeing as these speed feats can range anywhere from 28% the speed of light, aka relativistic, up to even baseline FTL. Moving on over to durability. Blade's durability should definitely be comparable to his own attack power, seeing as he's able to trade blows with Wolverine and endure his physical strikes. And Blade's durability is at least comparable to the durability of Deadpool. Now, let's talk about Cars. And just like with Blade, I'll start off by going over the attack power of Cars. We know Cars is capable of casually defeating Stroheim, the same Stroheim who is twice as strong as Santana, aka the weakest Pillar Man. Santana, even being the weakest Pillar Man, is still stronger than any vampire or zombie, which includes Dio Brando and Strazo. Dio Brando in Part 1 being stronger than his Part 3 self before absorbing Joseph's blood, who can deflect Hierophant Green's Emerald Splash, which is capable of damaging Star Platinum himself. Star Platinum in this case being stronger than his Part 4 self. Star Platinum in Part 4 being stated on more than one occasion to be the strongest stand, which puts him above the likes of Red Hot Chili Pepper. And yes, this would include Red Hot Chili Pepper even after he absorbed Murillo's electricity. Red Hot Chili Pepper absorbing this electricity is impressive, as it's been calculated to require a little over 427 kilotons, which is enough to destroy a large town. And a link to that calculation will be in the description below if you're interested in checking it out. It's worth noting that Cars is essentially the strongest Pillar Man, meaning Cars himself is at the very least around the large town level ranges of attack power. Heck, this is only base form Cars. And this brings us to Cars as the ultimate life form. After becoming the ultimate life form, he obtained hormone that was described as hundreds of times stronger than Joseph, which means it can range anywhere from 200 up to 900 times stronger. Joseph being strong enough to defeat AC/DC and WAMU. AC/DC and WAMU being Pillar Man who are stronger than Santana, aka the weakest Pillar Man, who, as established, is stronger than any other zombie or vampire. Heck, these Pillar Men literally view vampires as nothing but food. We also know the attack power of Ultimate Cars is superior to the explosions created by the Redstone of Asia. Now, looking over at speed. As we know, Cars is superior to Dio Brando from Part 1 in terms of speed, who was fast enough to keep up with Jonathan Joestar, the same Jonathan Joestar who is fast enough to react to Dio's Space Ripper Stingy Eyes, which are fast enough to reach dense clouds and cut through them within seconds, which has been calculated to be at least 28% the speed of light, aka relativistic to the speed of light. Heck, Cars was fast enough to block an ultraviolet beam from close range after it was fired, and is easily comparable to Joseph, who is fast enough to avoid getting castrated by a laser. Moving on over to durability. Cars' durability should easily be comparable to his own attack power. I mean, the dude was able to exchange blows with Joseph Joestar himself. His durability is also superior to the durability of Dio from Part 3, who was capable of enduring attacks from Star Platinum. And this is just Cars in his base form. Obviously, he's much more durable as the ultimate life form. Now that I went over the attack power, speed, and durability of both of these badasses, it's time for me to move on down the line and tell you who should be taking victory more often than not, as well as go over some of their special abilities, hacks, and skill that they have to bring to the table. For starters, let's take a look at attack power. We pointed out that Blade should easily be around the multi-city block level ranges in terms of his attack power, while Cars, even in his base form, is at least reaching the large town level ranges. However, you could actually argue Blade is a higher degree of attack power than just multi-city block. As mentioned, he took out a vampire that somewhat overpowered Spider-Man, and Blade has even been seen damaging Vampire Spider-Man. And we know Spider-Man has consistently shown that he's strong enough to stagger the Incredible Hulk, albeit the Incredible Hulk was heavily suppressed during these times. But even a heavily suppressed Incredible Hulk is still powerful enough to casually rip apart nuclear bomb-proof doors and punch through them. So with this, you could actually say Spider-Man is around the small city, possibly even city level ranges, and in turn, Blade would be as well. So if you go with this scaling, then Blade may have the attack power advantage over base form Cars. Keep in mind, I did say may have. As mentioned, Cars in his base form is at the very least around the large town level ranges. meaning he's more than likely higher than that. Even if Blade still has a slight attack power advantage over base cars, it may not matter that much at the end of the day, seeing as Blade may not even be able to land a hit on cars. As mentioned, Blade is around 28% the speed of light, at least, and possibly even baseline FTL. While Cars himself, on the other hand, is also at the very least 28% the speed of light. So it does seem like they're comparable when it comes to speed. However, Cars actually performed a speed feat that makes him far faster than Blade. And I'm talking about when he blocked the ultraviolet beam from close range after it was fired. You see, Cars being able to block this ultraviolet beam the way he did actually makes him faster than the speed of light. A little over 41 times the speed of light, to be precise. And if you're interested in checking out that speed calculation, I will leave a link in the description below. So while Blade may actually have baseline FTL reaction time and combat speed, that's still slower than somebody who's at the very least a little over 41 times the speed of light in terms of reaction time and combat speed. And of course, Cars is easily comparable to Joseph, who is fast enough to dodge a laser, which actually puts Joseph around similar speeds to Cars when he blocked the ultraviolet beam. And the calculation for Joseph's speed feat will also be in the description below. So yeah, Cars is definitely faster than Blade. Even if Blade does have the attack power advantage, it's not by much. And he's also too slow to even land a hit on Cars. However, Cars will be able to land plenty of hits on Blade. Cars being able to land more hits is going to be a very big problem for Blade, seeing as his cells release a digestive acid that quickly dissolves victims on a cellular level, on contact, and in turn allows him to absorb other life forms. Sure, Blade does have a healing factor, but it's not really going to help him much in this situation, as even Santana, aka the weakest Pillarman, was capable of casually dissolving a vampire and absorbing it into himself, with this vampire having a healing factor of its own. As we established, Cars is essentially the strongest of the Pillarmen. Blade really doesn't have a way to counter this hacks. And again, this will start dissolving Blade on a cellular level on contact. But hey, even if Blade could land a hit on Cars and somehow damage him before he starts dissolving, it still really wouldn't help much, considering the insane regeneration capability that Cars has. Thanks to Cars being a Pillarman, he has better regeneration than any vampire in the series, which would include Strazo, who was capable of quickly regenerating after his entire body exploded into pieces. So Blade is going to need more than just his physical attack power to help him get past the regeneration of Cars. Luckily, Blade carries around sunlight and ultraviolet rays, which he could use to help weaken the regeneration of Cars, as base Cars is technically still vulnerable to sunlight and light-based attacks, and this could potentially weaken his regeneration capability. But again, this is all assuming Blade would be fast enough to land a hit on Cars, which he's not. Now, let's compare their skill, intelligence, and overall experience. Blade, as we know, is a master martial artist, swordsman, marksman. He's capable of speaking multiple languages and has decades of experience fighting vampires, demons, and all kinds of enemies. Cars, on the other hand, we know each Pillarman possesses an exceptional capacity for intelligence and learning above that of any regular human, allowing them to grasp complex machinery and technology within seconds, and learn modern languages just as quickly. This, combined with his willingness to do anything in order to win, is what makes Cars such a deadly opponent. When possible, rather than fight one-on-one, Cars relies on misdirection to trick and catch his opponent by surprise, and fights carefully, methodically, and observantly. Furthermore, Cars is one of, if not the greatest mind, out of the already brilliant Pillar Men, creating the stone mask and using them on himself to unlock his true potential, and then proceeding to use his newfound abilities to slaughter the rest of his kind alongside AC/DC. Heck, after evolving to the ultimate life form, Cars was able to instantly use Hormone, despite having never done so before. On top of all this, he has over 100,000 years of experience. So while I may have to give Blade the raw martial arts skill advantage, I would say Cars is far more intelligent when it comes to combat strategy. And I would also have to say Cars has far more combat experience compared to Blade. At the end of the day, base Cars is faster than Blade. He could easily blitz Blade, dissolve him on a cellular level on contact, and absorb Blade into himself. Blade really has nothing that could counter this hacks. Blade is too slow to land a hit on Cars, so it's unlikely Blade will be able to hit Cars with any of his weaponry or his sunlight. And while Blade might have a slight attack power advantage, it's really not enough to overcome the advantages that base Cars has over Blade. It's honestly safe to give base Cars the victory over Blade more often than not, but obviously with some difficulty. Now, let's discuss Ultimate Cars. As mentioned, the hormone of Ultimate Cars was described as being hundreds of times stronger than Joseph. As mentioned, Joseph was powerful enough to defeat AC/DC and Wamu, who are both stronger than Santana. And as I mentioned in the pre-analysis, Santana should be reaching the large town level ranges, meaning Ultimate Cars is anywhere from 200 up to 900 times stronger than Joseph, who can easily be considered large town level himself. On top of this, Ultimate Cars has attack power that is superior to the explosions created by the Redstone of Asia, which actually includes an 800 megaton explosion. And a link to that will be in the description below. Yeah, Ultimate Cars definitely has greater attack power than Blade. As far as speed goes, well, obviously Ultimate Cars would be faster than his base form self, who is already at the very least 41 times the speed of light. In terms of durability, well, an 800 megaton explosion was unable to kill Ultimate Cars. Heck, they had to throw this dude into space just to ultimately defeat him in part 2 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And even then, he didn't even die. He just couldn't fully adapt to the vacuum of space. So he was essentially left floating throughout the vacuum of space for all of eternity. And this actually brings us to his ability to adapt. While he wasn't able to fully adapt to the vacuum of space, Ultimate Cars is still able to adapt to virtually anything on the Earth. Heck, Cars was quickly able to adapt to magma by creating continuous layers of inorganic material over his skin. This dude has the ability to transform parts of his body into any other living thing on the Earth, and even improve on their biology. Even Blade's weaponry and sunlight won't have any effect on Ultimate Cars. You see, Ultimate Cars does not have that weakness to sunlight like his base form self. In fact, he can stand under direct sunlight without any negative side effects. It's clear Ultimate Cars should definitely be taking victory over Blade more often than not. Now I would like to go over some stuff about Cars from the novel. This Cars is technically in a separate continuity than the manga, but very fascinating nonetheless. Cars actually has a lot more insane abilities and feats within this novel. For example, he literally possesses every stand ability as the ultimate life form. Heck, he can even reach Universal Plus levels of attack power in the novel, and infinite speed. You can clearly see why I did not want to put Blade against cars from the novel. But with all that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video for what it actually was. And I have a couple of things to say before I go. First of all, I would like to give a huge shout out and a big thanks to a friend of mine that goes by the name of Stealth. Stealth provided a lot of the calculations and scaling for cars, and he's honestly a great person in general. So yeah, shout out to Stealth. Thank you, dude, and I really appreciate all of your help. And the last thing, I am currently working on more of your all's requested matchups, and I'm also working on Captain America from Marvel Comics versus All Might from My Hero Academia. But as always, have a blessed day, folks. Peace.